All righty, here we go again. The dailybreadproject.com. All up in your earbuds and about to be on Facebook. I've got a guest coming on today, not flying solo as far as I know. There he is. I'm going to let him tune in and we are going to run this thing to Facebook. Hopefully that works. If not, we'll just record it and put it up later. Let's get us live on Facebook. Participants. Here we go. I don't think I did that right the first time. Man, so glad that you guys are here. So glad that you're tuning in to the dailybreadproject.com and feeling good today. Can't wait to jump into this thing. It's about to go live on Facebook. My man is here, and he's got a whole different setup today. DP, what's up?
Hello.
Whoa, that's always the juxtaposition between me and D. It's like he comes with the low West.
No, did that work? You hear me?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. And the video?
Yeah, this video is much better because
okay.
So let me start right here. And if anybody doesn't know who this guy is, this is Darin Persinger. This is the guy that helped me invent the podcast factory.
I'm the guy.
The guy I created the podcast factory for. In fact, it was to solve his problems, and I just came along for the ride, and it turned out to be more of a journey than I thought it would be. So I'm grateful for that. So what made
You're still on that journey?
I'm still on that ride. Ain't no doubt about that. Cool. So what made you? Was it the video thing? Was that what made you want to come back?
No, it was that I wanted to make sure that you had a guest.
Oh, okay. So,
that's all. I just wanted.
You're saying to me. What I like to do is interpret what people are saying. So what I hear Darin saying is, dude, you suck alone. So you need a guest. I got to get in here and save you.
No. Okay. That's not, I don't like doing things alone. It's just like a 10-minute live stream or podcast alone feels like 10 hours.
Really?
But this is just for me. But when you have a conversation with someone else, a 10-minute one feels like 1 minute. It goes 10 times in either direction, depending on if someone else is with you or not. That's my take.
All right. And I will admit my show yesterday felt really long, but it was like 8 minutes.
See?
I was like, God, that was the hardest show ever.
Yes.
It was difficult.
So I'm here for you. Even though it's my wife's birthday today.
Oh, happy birthday, Catherine. I will give him back quickly, I promise.
She's just still getting ready for her day. Because, where are we going?
That's true. And in fact, that's the discussion I wanted to have today. And there's a couple things I prepared for us to talk about because I'm evolving as we go on. Because frankly, I want to admit something to you, Darin. The last time you were on, you really made me reflect hard on what I was doing here. You're like, what's the end game? What are you doing? And I'm like, I started to feel trapped. I'm like, I got no end game. I don't know what I'm doing. And then I hear the president's order of another 30 days of this. And I said, well, shoot, man, I started it. I got to finish it. And that's what yesterday's talk was about. I started it and I'm going to come every day and finish this thing till we're back out in the wild.
I like it. All right. So there you go.
So I've been thinking about this social distancing thing, and I want to talk about that a little bit. And I wonder if I should set the stage for this because I was reading in the Bible this morning, Mark 3:25, and if a house is divided against itself, that house will not be able to stand. So this is the old united we stand, divided we fall. And I couldn't stop thinking about this yesterday, and it's been on my mind for a couple of days. I feel like society is going to fall apart if we fall prey to this social distancing thing. And so just wanted your take on it because you guys are doing it. I mean, are you really keeping away from everybody? Are you finding a way to be together? What are you guys doing?
Well, for real estate, we're real estate agents. We started off as being non-essential. That means we were locked in our homes like everyone else. Our state calls it stay at home instead of shelter in place, or what other states are calling it. So we started off that way. Then a few days later, he changed his mind and said, oh, maybe people shouldn't be homeless and people need help with their real estate transactions. So yeah, you can go out and show some homes. So we have certain rules that we have to follow by that. And the main ones are 6 and 2. And that's 6 feet apart and only 2 people in the house at one time. And a bunch of other minor rules, but those are the major ones. So yes, we're following the rules and we're still trying to be professional, showing homes and trying to help people with their real estate needs.
So I don't know what you're seeing, and I don't know if you're going out for walks or out on the street.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I like to be happy. I work to be happy. This is not easy to be uplifting and happy. And I see people on the street and they look at me with a shifty eye.
Yeah.
And I try to say hi to them. And they're like, even if we are 10 feet apart, they're like backing off of me. And I think it's the weirdest, strangest behavior I've ever seen. It's worse than ever.
Yeah. I can sense, I see where you're coming from that. Yeah. I go out for walks and people crossing the street.
Do I smell?
As I come up, maybe it's me. Yeah. We go as far as like we're ordering all of our groceries for pickup or food for delivery. Like we're not going into the grocery stores or anything like that. So we're trying to abide by the rules. But so with that idea, would you rather have people out there hanging out close together, hanging out in groups, not following the rules, or people social distancing and being angry about it and being standoffish about it with you? Which would you rather see happening?
You're giving me 2 scenarios in which I will take neither.
Right.
I would rather have people be civil. The homeless people right now are friendlier than the people in these nice neighborhoods. Like the homeless people will pass right by me and we're like, good morning. How you doing? That kind of thing. I think it's strange. I'll start getting into weird like brainwashing stuff because that's where my head is at right now. But I think we're being prepared to be like, everybody divided up. Everybody just stay to yourself. And
so even though we're following the rules and everyone's in agreement, we're still physically and mentally being divided. We're choosing not to follow that rule. Some people are doing it, some people aren't. That's not what you mean by the divided.
Say that again.
So the scripture that you're reading, I kind of interpret that as one group goes, we're going to follow the rules. Another group, we're not going to follow the rules. And how I kind of sense you're looking at it is maybe everyone's following the rules, but mentally and emotionally we're divided because we don't want to acknowledge each other. We're going to stay only friends with who we're currently friends with. Like you're no longer allowed to make new friends ever again in this world.
Yeah,
is that how you're kind of?
Yeah, I'm seeing it as a weakening of society. And so this mistrust or the fear or whatever it is that people are feeling, and I get it. And I do the same thing. Like I wash my hands all the time. I do try to remain 6 feet away from people, but that doesn't mean that I can't look at you and say good morning. I have people that won't even look up. Like they look down and I'm like, good morning. Good. Do I look like I'm going to hurt you? I'm on a power walk here. Good morning. And I'm like, I think this is training to make people weak, make people suspicious of each other, and make society weaker in general, if they allow it to be. If they allow it to be. This is the strange stuff this is what's on my mind right now. I'm getting into all this conspiracy. I'm going downhill. What am I going to say?
It sounds like you are going downhill. Well, do you think, though, that this is just... There will be some new normals, I think, that will come out of it. For example, handshakes. I think those are probably a thing of the past.
You think so, huh?
Maybe.
I can see it.
What purpose does it really serve?
Spread germs.
Spread germs. Is there another way we could do that? Could we do, bowing? Could we do some Vulcan stuff? Can we do, I don't know, salute, maybe salute. Just another type of greeting that I still think we do well in unknowns. So there's absolutely uncertainty. But Catherine and I did a podcast about this, Date Night In. We're into 2 episodes already, by the way.
Get it. Yeah. And I saw you guilt Cupcake a little bit in the group, like, hey, we're doing one. Where are you at?
So we talked about social norms on Facebook and how people, or social media in general, how do you communicate with each other? What's an appropriate thing? Like, is it appropriate or normal for a husband to DM or a private message the wife of someone else? Do you know what I mean?
I hear you.
Or even send that friend request. Like, why would you even send that friend request in the first place if it's not a professional type relationship? If you're just like friends at school and you're sending friend requests to someone who's married of the opposite sex, is that normal? Because I don't think that would be normal in real life. You wouldn't go out for happy hour with someone of the opposite sex. Those are the conversations that we're having online. And I don't think there was ever any protocol, any etiquette, any social norms established on how we're supposed to interact online. It's just kind of the Wild West, medieval times, whatever. We're kind of back to that right now. In real life, what's the polite way to be when you're supposed to still stay 6 feet away from each other? Oh, I can still be polite? I'm not supposed to just be rude? Okay, I didn't know that. No one told me that. I thought I was supposed to be rude to make sure they stayed 6. Like, there's just a bunch of weird things going on right now.
All right. I can subscribe to that. I don't know how to distance without being an ass. Okay. I get that.
Yeah.
I'm afraid, so I'm going to be an ass.
Yeah. Give people a break. Let them figure it out, or you develop the new social etiquette book for social distancing.
I think we can sell that. I think that's a sellable.
There's something to be done there for sure.
Oh man, that's good.
Well, along those lines, here's the thing that I have been aware of, and I'd like to see what's happening like with you, your audience, and your clients. We are a ways into this. Like, we're about 2 weeks ahead of everyone else in the country in our location. So we've kind of adjusted. I think there's a grief concept to this, 5 stages of grief. First is denial, and then acceptance, and you go through the whole thing, right? What we're like taking action now, and we're out doing stuff, and we're seeing people not liking us taking action. Some of it's our peers, some of it's other people.
What do you mean by taking action?
Catherine got quoted in the Seattle Times. I think it was the Seattle Times. Reporter interviewed Catherine about what was going on with the situation. Catherine shared her thoughts. We get those calls often from reporters. Sometimes they use us in their articles or stories. Sometimes they don't, based upon whether they like us, what we said or not. Catherine was basically stating facts. We're considered essential now. We can go show homes, but I wouldn't say the market is like back to normal. Some buyers are still scared to do anything. Some are jumping in. Catherine received this really nasty email from another real estate agent saying, first email was, take that down. Don't talk to reporters. Then the agent sent another email to Catherine, like, you're making us look bad. The optics here matter. So like, that's one example. And then we sent out an email to our buyer leads, like, hey, we can go show homes. Who wants to look? I got a super nasty email from someone like, how dare you try to take advantage of people in this time?
Take
and sell me
advantage?
homes." Yeah,
You're helping somebody find a house, shelter, roof.
Exactly. Hierarchy of needs. Shelter is kind of important. But I think, again, people forget life is so amazing. We've forgot that shelter is a necessary need. We think it's a privilege, like it's this fancy thing. For some people, shelter is a necessity.
For most of us,
according to Maslow's
head and food.
Hierarchy of needs. So we're seeing people like that. And then when I'm doing my lives, my audience of real estate agents is non-engaging. And I think I've seen you talk about this before. I've talked about this. You can create or you can consume. And I think a lot of people are in consumption mode right now. And a third level that put on that I just talked about is a critic. You can create, you consume, or you can be a critic. And if you're wanting to be a leader right now, I think you have to move into creation mode. But I'm just asking you, what are you seeing with the members of the Podcast Factory? What are you seeing with your audience in general? Are people just lurking, or are they engaging with you? Are they responding? Or when you ask them to take action, are they taking action?
So I want to go back to what you said, creator, consume, and critic. And I find that the consumers are the greatest critics because they have nothing else to do but criticize. And that is maybe their creation. So I will say that. Then there's levels of this. Number one, I think you're in our Facebook group. So you know that I got everybody at the Podcast Factory family ahead of this and told them that downloads were going to go down. People were out of their routine, and you were going to need to do different things to stay in front of people. Like you're doing the lives. I've seen Cheryl Ann Skolnicki putting up videos everywhere, and she hates videos. So I know she's stepping up her game. The Neelys stepped up, and they're doing a live series now. And in particular, Amanda Neely, who hates being on social media and hates doing video, is stepping up her game to do video. So what you're saying here is where leaders are stepping up to lead. I'm seeing that all across the board with the Podcast Factory family. As far as consumption goes, our lives, when we started them, we're getting double the numbers that we're getting now. But I'm getting feedback. I'll get feedback through email. I'll get feedback through private messages. I've not received anything negative for what I'm doing here. I have stepped up my game, as you probably have noticed. But the leaders are going to lead, and that's what I'm seeing across the board for our people, and it's what we're supposed to be doing. I mean, if you're called to do the work you're doing, like you're called to help people find a place to live, put a roof over their head, whether it's being a landlord or a real estate agent, you have to do that. It's important for you to do that, and if you stop doing that, then maybe that it really isn't valuable to you. And so all these people are pretending.
Bingo. I think this is a good time for everyone to get real with themselves, with whatever niche, whatever their message is that they thought they wanted to be sharing. If you're afraid to share it right now, maybe you need to go back to the drawing board and figure out why that is. And maybe you're in the wrong niche, or you're trying to communicate the wrong message. This just isn't the right thing for you. But I think it's time. And like you said, we have 30 days more of this now. It's time to start creating. It's time for the leaders to lead. And I think in these situations, leaders create. And you don't have to create necessarily like you're doing. This is what you're doing. You don't have to be Jonathan in this situation. We're not doing anything different than we normally do. We're not trying to be more of a positive light. We acknowledge somewhat what's going on, but then it's kind of like back to what we do, not back to normal, but back to what we do. And we have to adjust our messaging and how we talk about this right now. But I think if you're someone who's watching this live right now or on a replay, or you're listening to it on the podcast, and you're not creating, it's time to start taking action. You got to start getting out there and sharing so that the consumers can consume. And going back to the critics, realize you're going to take some hits right now. Maybe you didn't take hits before. Maybe your message just was flat one way or the other. And it might be, you might be confused by that because you're like, I'm not being controversial. I'm not saying anything that's crazy right now. And someone's going to take a swing at you. And I think you just have to be ready for that because people are weird right now and just accept it.
Yeah, I guess you can't take that. That's their own problem. Just like the people being weird on the street. I'm taking
exactly.
it as my problem.
Yeah, that's crossover.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
We've just adjusted how we're creating, and we're focused more on connecting and our compatibility. What we talked about last time, like you talked about the values, we're focused more on that. So not building a new audience, not trying to generate new leads for our business, but we have a big audience right now. How do we stay in connection with them? How do we let them know how we feel going through this? And just kind of what our normal everyday looks like, what we're struggling with this, what we're finding the good in this, the silver linings in this. And so we're more about conversion, connection, and referrals right now, and creating content for that type of interaction than trying to build a new audience.
Well, has there never been a better time for that?
That's what I'm saying.
That's gold. Cool. So what's the silver lining then? The conversion, the time that you have. What else?
Time is a big thing. I think another thing to look at, like I'm seeing this from people about, this is not a good time to scold. So I've made some points about this because I was, when we got that nasty email, the hate email from the other real estate agent, I think she thinks she's being a leader. But
that's leader. Oh, that's why you were talking about the bullying?
Yes.
I was wondering what that was.
Yeah. I think sometimes leaders in their head think they're leading when really what they're doing is they're bullying, and they shouldn't be considering themselves a leader at all. But it's easy to confuse those two things if you're not sure what leadership is. Would you get more coffee?
No, my mouse is dead. I won't be able to end this recording.
Oh, no.
See how smoothly it all goes, right? Thank you, Cupcake.
How did she even know that you needed that? I didn't see you.
Text
okay. Perfect.
Like, need your help.
So, yeah, I think the silver lining is figuring out how you can help in the way that you can help, realizing that there's a difference between leadership and being a bully. So scolding, shaming, there's no place in that. I don't see how that serves anyone right now. So for example, when I'm seeing posts about, you should have been doing this with your business, or you should have been doing this with your finances. And, if you like right now, no one's going to get 3 months reserves.
No way.
So to scold someone about that they didn't have it, that's not helping anybody. Like, how do you get them out of the situation they're in now instead of time traveling back? So any kind of content, like your content, I believe this is, if you're ready to step up and start leading and creating content, your content should not be critical of others. Like, you should not be that critic then. So, hey, if you don't have your 3 to 6 months reserves, that's why you're in this problem right now. You should have had that in place. That's not helping anybody.
It's useless as tits on a bull.
There you go.
Yeah, so you're saying meet them where they're at.
Meet them where they're at, help them get out of this hole that they're in, instead of going, hey, you should have never been in this hole in the first place. Well, no duh. Obviously. I don't think they're happy that they're in their tough situation. But maybe that's not the audience that you're talking to, and that's cool. Like, that's fine. Maybe your audience is totally fine, and you need to just tell them, hey, you need to create, stop consuming. Maybe instead of watching more news, go share a 5-minute live with your feed, with your profile, with your page, your group, whatever your group is, like wherever your audience is at.
Yeah. I'm with that, man. Creation time, creators versus consumers. Did a whole show on it. I wasn't very nice though. I was pretty much a bully in that one.
Well, we could I mean, when times are good, it's easier to take. People probably weren't taking it personally, but right now there's a amazing time to uplift. And I feel like I can be more direct with your audience and who's going to tune into this and say, hey, go create. If you're not creating, you're not really a leader. And if you're not willing to do that right now, you're probably in the wrong niche and doing the wrong thing. So get out. I feel like the group that would be watching this can handle that.
Yeah.
But you have to know your specific audience well enough to know what message is going to make them want to get out of bed in the morning and which message is going to make them just want to curl up and stay there. Like, think about it from that point of view. Is what I'm sharing going to get people out of bed in the morning, or are they just going to stay there? I have a feeling the Daily Bread Project makes people go, all right, I can do this. I'm going to get out of bed, even though it's warm and comfy. I'm going to get out of bed and I'm going to do something with my day.
Dude, you want to hear something real?
I do. That's why I'm here.
That's what got me out of bed this morning, was knowing that I was talking to you, that we had a second chance at this interview, because I was in bed. I was really burnt out yesterday. And I didn't understand what was going on. And it was 16 days in a row of work, like working more than I normally work, because I added this to the show or to what I was doing. So my work is going crazy. And I was like, all right, I took the afternoon off. And this morning, my alarm goes off at 5:30. And Cupcake's like, oh, I thought you were going to sleep in today. And I actually got back in bed. I was like, damn, it feels good. And I laid there for a second. I said, if I stay here, you're not going to be able to get your workout. I'm going to be rushed before the Daily Bread, and my whole day is going to be off. I gotta get up. I gotta get out. I gotta just go do something. So even this for me motivates me. If it's motivating other people, great. But I do appreciate you, and I wanted to tell you that I did. It meant a lot to me that you're like, hey, I'll come back on. So thank you for that.
Well, so a couple things to bounce off of that. One, I'm paying attention to you, so I'm consuming. Doesn't mean when you're creating, you're not consuming anything. So I'm watching your Instagram stories, Daily Bread, seeing the emails, and you were authentic enough with your email and your messaging that I could sense your energy. And so that's why I sent you a text and said, who's your guest tomorrow? Because I didn't want you to go this alone again.
You're really falling downhill, buddy. I'm going to save you.
You need me right now, Jonathan. Let me come on.
I appreciate that, brother.
So I was sensing that and I reached out. I think, again, that's a form of action. Everyone can do that. Pay attention to what's going on around you. But if we stay in our own bubble, like going back to how we started, oh, I'm nervous of who's going to come and talk to me right now. Pay attention, see what's going on. That's a form of action. Know who you can reach out to and help. I'm not saying I'm saving you from this, but I just put it out there. Who's your guest tomorrow? Would you want me to come on, or am I going to ruin it for you? So that's a thing to doing it. But then the second thing was the routine. For many of us, our routines are probably way out of whack right now because the kids are at home. We're working from home and we're not used to being at home. I think for us, you and me, Cupcake and Catherine, the little ones, this isn't as weird as some other situations because this is how we kind of operate, right? But if you're someone who is not used to this, you need to figure out your new routine real quick. Like that, I think that should be your number one priority. What's the new time that you're waking up? What do you do when you wake up? Are you going for a walk, or how are you going to get a workout in at home? Then where's your work environment at home? Are you just set up at the kitchen table? Is that enough for right now? Maybe you don't need a kitchen table right now. Maybe the table needs to get pushed against the wall and turned into a desk, and the dining room needs to be a home office because you're not going to have any guests over to have a fancy dinner right now. but maybe you need that home office setup. So take a look at your environment, take a look at your routine. And I think that becomes really important to get into that flow, that consistency right now.
Love it. Love it. Love it. All right. We're coming up on the half hour. My mouse isn't working, so I'm going to figure it out. Yeah.
You just have to shut down the computer.
I might lose my whole lot. I guess it would be recorded on Facebook, but I'm still going to try to figure it out. Darin, I appreciate you. And it means a lot to me. Thank you for stepping up, taking time out of your schedule to be here with me on the Daily Bread, because I did need it. So thanks for picking up on that and helping me recharge. It means a lot to me. I can't tell you. And let's have a little bit of fun, since I'm gonna figure out this mouse thing, and we're wrapping up. You want to see something I did today that almost blew me out of my routine?
Yes.
Okay.
A handstand.
No, I got to put this out there because I'm really feeling this, and the people that are just listening on the podcast won't ever get to see this.
Okay.
So it's just between us. So I was getting ready, shaving and all that stuff, and check this out. Tried to trim my eyebrows. Look at that.
Oh, yeah. What happened there?
My clippers, the guard was broken, and I was like, there went an eyebrow.
That's a good way to make sure you don't go out and get too close to people.
Well, that was a good way for me to say, hey, I can't do the Daily Bread. It's video. I had to put that out there, but I appreciate it, bro. You can log off whenever you want. I'm going to try to figure this thing out.
All right. I'm going to go try to figure out how to have a birthday day for Catherine now.
Hi, brother. Get it. Thank you so much.
All right. See you, JR.